Yo. We back again. You know we never slacking off. Judah Ben. Yo. Ladies and gents, get prepared for another greater event. If you never linked, then make an attempt. On Fridays, there's really no other way to be spent. Tune in, hit the link, and leave likes and comments. Welcome to TD Sports Talk. Here we bring sports and entertainment weekly. They break it down deeply. Come peep me as I spit, leave most confused. Pay attention while I introduce the host and crew. Starting off, we got Tommy the host. He plugged in, his predictions transparent like a ghost. Yo, I think that he been doing this the most. He first joined in March 2013. His resume was first seen. Then we got the co-host, Mr. Socrates. His analogy surgical like a doctor squeeze. The live show was nasty like a dirty beer. Tommy and Sock, they've been friends for over 30 years. Peep me, we got the final host D-Free from out of DC. You need to wake up, you sleepy. If you're checking out the live and you feel the vibes, like the video, subscribe, get notified. Take a picture cause this moment should be polarized. Tommy's legacy and resume is notarized. Whether it's Friday or Saturday, he going live. Click the bell and I promise you'll get notified. Yeah. Welcome to TD Sports Talk. Friday and Saturday. Tune in. They're going live late. Word them up. Shout out to Tommy, Socrates, D-Free. Word them up, word them up. Judah Ben. Yo. Tell a friend or tell a friend, son.
Champion of the world. Shout out to TD Sports. TD Sports. Let's go, chat.
We are back, baby. We are fucking back. We are back. Plastic. We are back. We are back.
What's good, everybody? What's good, YouTube? Hope everybody is doing well on this Sunday evening as we close out the week. The beginning of the week, but the end of the weekend. And probably a lot of people got to go to work tomorrow morning, so we won't be too long. But I felt that I had to come on. I haven't been on in a minute doing our regular shows. I've been on doing other shows, but haven't been on to do the TD Sports Talk show. So we are back. I'm here with my main man, my co-host D-Free. What is going on, D-Free? Hope you had a good weekend.
Yeah. What's good?
Chilling, man. We got a few things to talk about, and I think we're going to talk about the main headliner. I mean, we could talk about the other fights as well, but I wanted to talk about this because as you see in the background, you see Keyshawn Davis. This is Keyshawn Davis winning his first and only world title, and this was Keyshawn Davis's at the end of his last fight. And why was it his last fight? Because he was supposed to fight this weekend, and that didn't happen. He was supposed to fight last night, and that didn't happen. And we know, we're going to get into why. And I wanted to do this live because we've done lives, and we've got on fighters, we got at fans of fighters and stuff. And me, I've gotten the Tank fans lately, right? And I'm a big supporter of Keyshawn Davis. Now, I'm fans of many fighters because it's hard to just like one fighter and not root for anybody else, because I'm a fan of boxing over fighters. But me being a big time supporter of Keyshawn Davis, I mean, as you see in the background, I'm impressed. I'm in the ringside. You know what I'm saying? So that means I'm a supporter, and I have to speak about things. When a fighter that I root for, a fighter that I support, does the wrong thing. And we're going to get into that in a minute. So that's why I wanted to do that. But shout out to the people in the chat that came through right now. My man, Opulent LD TV, was good with you. Hope everything is well. Salute to you. And A1 Hoop Zone, man, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a minute. The finals is tonight, game 2. Anybody know what's going on? Because I haven't been watching.
Yeah, I haven't been paying attention to it neither. I know they just started. Not just started. It started at 8:00, but I ain't get a chance to check on it.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen. I know that the Pacers stole one in game 1, kind of the way they stole game 1 against the Knicks. So, yeah. So I don't know. He says, and A1 says OKC put in. Oh wow. Okay. So all right. So we're gonna have a tied. Looks like we're gonna have a tied series going into Indiana. So. All right, we got a little bit of a series. I thought AKC was going to wash them. I mean, they still could wash them, but we'll see what happens. But nevertheless, to the topic at hand, my man Sock will be here shortly. He's enjoying the baseball game right now. He's a big Red Sox fan, and I'm a Yankees fan, so he's enjoying. The Red Sox are winning right now. Last I checked, it was 9-5. So he'll be with us as soon as the game is over. Hopefully, they blow it. That'll be pretty cool. And he'll probably won't come on if they do blow it. But right now it's 10-5, so not looking good in Yankee Stadium. And that's 2 out of 3 for Boston if they win. So I got to put up with him. But anyway, let's get to it. So last night, top-ranked Virginia, supposed to be another homecoming for Keyshawn Davis and the DB3, his brothers Keon and Kelvin, also on the card. They fought. We'll get into that in a second. But Keyshawn did it. And why he didn't? He didn't make weight. And he chose, in my opinion, not to make weight. It looked like he gave up on the weight based on the way he came into the press conference and the weigh-in. And, we talk about fighters being professional and unprofessional and doing the right thing. This definitely wasn't the right thing for Keyshawn to do. Especially you won your first world title. Sometimes people don't consider you a champion until you defend that title at least one time. And to lose to lose your first championship on a scale, in your hometown. This was a homecoming. As champion, people spend good money. They were predicting a sellout. And once the fight was canceled and they took it off, De Los Santos, credit to him and his team. They got on full pay. They did the right thing. They didn't want to negotiate. You know what? Good for them. The guy has not been in the ring for almost 2 years, De Los Santos. Why do that to yourself? You're at a disadvantage. The guy didn't struggle to make weight because he felt like he couldn't make weight and, just came in at 4 pounds over. That's what it told me. So he would have been at a terrible disadvantage. So cool, good job for them getting paid. And, after that, a lot of people requested refunds. Over 2,000 people requested refunds for this fight, D-Free.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's
as well as they should. I mean, like I tell people all the time, most people, they buy their tickets, they buy their pay-per-view to see the main event. They don't really care too much about who's on the undercard because the fight that's getting promoted is the main event. I mean, yeah, they might say something about the co-main, but the main fight that gets promoted is the main event. So that's the reason why people buy the tickets for the most part. You have a few that support guys that's on the undercard, but for the most part, people buy the tickets for the main event. They buy the pay-per-views for the main event. So if the main event is not happening, they definitely should ask for a refund, especially if they had other things that they was planning on doing and they say, you know what, I'm gonna put that on hold and I'm gonna go to this fight because Keyshawn is fighting. We don't get fights here on a regular basis, so let me go support this fight. And then it gets taken off. Oh well, I can go do what I was planning on doing anyway.
Yeah.
So
it's terrible. And like I said, look, let me just change the screen. I mean, when you look. I've been a supporter of Keyshawn. I've had interaction with Keyshawn, so I want to give it to the perspective. I've seen a lot of channels. I mean, I'm not going to say a lot of channels. I've seen a handful of channels get at Keyshawn, and rightfully so, and be really hard on him and his team. And we're just talking about the weigh-in. We're not talking about the other things that happened. And I wanted to give the perspective as somebody that's been a major supporter, somebody that's bought a ticket, somebody that's interacted, somebody that's spoken to him numerous times, and not only spoken to him numerous times, to members of his team and family members, and they all say great things about him. And one of the things that I remember a lot of them saying, it was an uncle and an aunt, an uncle and his wife, so I guess his aunt, they came from Virginia, and they were saying this guy is one of the most humble kids you'll ever meet. And humble kids don't do what they did yesterday.
He's about as humble as Carissa Shields.
So that's what kind of it's a bad look, and I want to be the guy that doesn't want to don't want to really just put the nail in the coffin on this kid. I want to be the guy that still wants to support him, but I still got to hold him accountable for what he did. Shout out to man Shelton. Yeah, I'm finally on my own channel. You're right. Sometimes they hijack me. BVO runs everything, man. So yeah. So yeah. And shout out to you, Anwar Willis. What's good? Salute to you, bro. Salute. But yeah, man, as a guy that's interacted with Keyshawn and his family, I don't want to put the nail in the coffin, but I got to hold him accountable for his actions and let him know, and let the boxing world know, and let supporters know that what he did was wrong, and he cannot do this, and he's jeopardizing his career. We don't know, what's in his contract with Top Rank promotional wise, where they could drop him. They can drop him from his contract and drop him and promote him because of what he did last night. So in case you've been under a rock, people that's been watching, last night his brother Keyshawn fought. He had a good stoppage, good victory. That's the youngest brother, but his older brother Kelvin had a tough fight with Albright. What's his first name? I can't get his name. Not here. Albright from Philadelphia, and it was a tough fight. I mean, when I saw that this fight was signed and this was a matchup, I was like, this is a tough fight for Kelvin. I've been in a fight with Kelvin last year. This is the first time I met Kelvin and his brothers was last year in Newark in the Shakur undercard. And that was Keyshawn was fighting Madueno, I think his name is McDueno, whatever, something like that. But I was at the undercard. I met all of them at the press conference, the weigh-in. We chatted and spoke. I thought Kelvin Davis lost to Kevin Johnson. If you guys have not seen that fight, watch the fight against Kelvin Davis last year. I thought Kevin Johnson won that fight. It was a good competitive fight, but I thought he won. So him now, fast forward to yesterday, him against Albright, I was like, this is a tough fight. Albright is no pushover. This is a tough matchup. And listen, watching that fight, I thought Albright won 8 of 10 rounds.
Yeah, most definitely.
8 of 10 rounds. And for Albright to go into Virginia, now the co-main event, had a judge that was in the Davis pocket, right? They brought in this judge, Brian. His name is Brian Costello. He was the only judge to score a draw, which was crazy to give this guy 5 rounds. The other 2 judges had it 97-93, and one had it 96-94. But 95-95? Are you serious?
Yeah, that judge was Mrs. Davis' next door neighbor.
He had to be, because I did research on him, no picture on him, and he's from Virginia, and most of the fights he's judged has been in Virginia. And get this, he's been a judge for like 19 years. Most of the fights he's done has been like 4-rounders and 6-rounders.
Yeah.
So
he fell asleep the rest of the round. He watched the four rounds and fell asleep.
And he just filled out the scorecard on the way.
Right.
Yeah.
I used to watch him fights that long.
Yeah, and and right, Shelton, he dominated that fight. And I thought Kelvin was gracious. I mean, in the loss, he took his L, but apparently Keyshawn and Keon didn't take it well, and there was an altercation. We didn't see the altercation that caused a bump on Albright's head because they interviewed him. He had a big bump in his head. Apparently Keyshawn Davis, allegedly, right, because we don't know what's out. We didn't see no tape, headbutted him. And
no. Actually, no. Keyshawn came out and said he did. He said we didn't jump them. Um, I grabbed him and headbutted him or something like that. He came out and said he headbutted him.
Oh, okay.
So
See, I haven't heard from Keyshawn yet. Wow. Okay.
yeah,
So yeah. So basically, they attacked him. You know, a street fight in the arena, pretty much, right? And that's where he's going to get in trouble. He might face suspension, but either way, Kelvin was the one that kind of broke up the fight. But to me, the altercation that was on camera, that was not a good look. That was not a good look at all. They went after his brother. There was one guy that spit on his brother. I don't know if you saw that.
no, I didn't see that part.
If you watch the altercation again, towards the end of the altercation, the guy passes by and he spits on Albright's older brother.
Wow.
So yeah, it was kind of bad. Luckily, security was there, and the top ranked security guy was there. The guy with the big goatee, mustache or whatever. He was there to break it up, and as well as some cops. But apparently they escorted both Keon and Keyshawn out of the building. But definitely a bad look. I mean, this guy, he's probably going to face suspension, and who knows what's going to happen with his future. And this is a bad look for a guy. He's 26 years old, only 13 fights. Silver medalist. He kind of stood in the amateurs a little bit longer because I guess he tried twice for the Olympic Games. And he's wasting part of his prime right now, and it's going to really hurt him to be on the shelf. If he gets suspended a year, that's not good for a guy 26 years old, getting into the prime of his career. And then Keon, who's just starting his career, who's only had like 3 fights, he's going to most likely get suspended as well. So I'm very intrigued to see what else comes out of this, and like the investigations and all that's going on. Albright is probably going to pursue charges, as he should, right? Because anything else, something could have escalated even worse.
Yeah, according to his promoter, he alluded to the fact that they're gonna sue. I don't know if they're gonna press charges or anything like that, but he alluded to the fact that they're gonna sue. He said for every action there's a reaction, so he will pay one way or another. So he alluded to that they're gonna sue.
Yeah, and rightfully so. If you think about it, it all comes down to Keyshawn Davis not making weight and being irresponsible, not making weight and being very unprofessional. Because listen, if he misses weight by 1 or 2 pounds, maybe he tries to cut it, or maybe they renegotiate. You have a fight. He's still going to lose the title probably, right? Because if he struggled, if he doesn't make the weight, they're going to strip him of the title. But it all comes down to that unprofessionalism of him not making the weight. Because if he makes the weight, or if they make a fight, none of this happens. If Kelvin Davis still loses, which you can't change the outcome. Like Albright went in with a game plan. He went in there and, like Shelton said earlier in the chat, he put hands and feet on him. Like he dominated. He hurt him multiple times in the fight. You know what I'm saying? So nothing's going to change. But Keyshawn would be in his locker room getting his hands wrapped, getting ready for his. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's what it all comes down to. Like if you would have been on point and making the weight and doing what you were supposed to do, none of these things would have happened.
Right. And see, I think, and you said it earlier, and I think the same thing. I think he missed weight on purpose. Because there's rumor. I don't know how true it is, but multiple people have said it now, and maybe they heard the same person said it, and so they just running with it. But there's a rumor that he woke up that morning and he was 2 pounds overweight, but then when he went to the weigh-in, he was 4.3 pounds overweight. So if you woke up and you were 2 pounds overweight, you didn't try, because if you're anything under 3 pounds overweight, they're going to make you try to lose the weight. They're going to make you try to lose the weight. They're going to say, you're going to go back in a couple of hours, you're going to come back and we're going to weigh you again. So when you're at 3 pounds up to 5 pounds, they don't make you try to lose the weight, but they don't take the fight from you. It's up to the other fighter. So he was right in between that range where they can't force him to lose the weight, but they can't take the fight from him neither. So it was up to De Los Santos whether he wanted the fight or he didn't. And according to De Los Santos and Sampson, they was about to take the fight and say, you know what, we're just going to take the extra money and we'll take the fight. But then they got word that Keyshawn never even tried to make weight. So maybe they heard about the fact that he was 2 pounds and now he's 4 pounds. So they got word that he never even tried to make the weight. And they was like, nah, we're not going to do it. I'm just going to go ahead and take my purse and we're going to go home.
And rightfully so. And that's why, and that's another thing, like that shows the importance of having a good team around you, because, you know, somebody that doesn't have a good team, or somebody that's just too brave and whatever, they might have let him go into that fight and he would have been outclassed, and it would have been a mismatch, you know, and no money in the world, you know, maybe you take the money and you take a dive and you don't go in, you know, and try. But it looked like De Los Santos, he trained, he put in the work, and he was there to try to win and become a world champion, you know.
Yeah, because if you take the names away, and you say, Dad, one fighter came in 4 pounds overweight, the other one was on weight, you would have thought it was De Los Santos. He was the one that was out for 18 months and laid up in the hospital because he had shoulder surgery and blood clots and things like that. You would have thought it was De Los Santos that came in overweight, but it turned around. It was Keyshawn, a guy who had just won his title 5 months prior.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
Let me tell you something, and shout out to him at A1 Hoop Zone. He said he thought he had a Ryan Garcia versus Devin Haney situation, but Santos' team was too smart to fall for the okie dokie. Right. You know, and I do think there was some okie dokie shenanigans pulled, because, you know, when you're over 4 pounds, you know you're not going to make the weight, and you don't know, and excuse me, you know you're not going to make the weight a week before the fight. So when they arrived, when they did the grand arrivals or whatever they did that Monday, the week of the fight, they could have started negotiating then, right? But they didn't do anything until the day of the weigh-in, and that's what's crazy. And then the day before that, you have this press conference where you go out and you shout the guy that's right on, you know, that's right on your tail in Abdullah Mason. And you go over there and you try to punk him and you try to show like, oh, we can do this next. You already knew you was going to go to 140. You said that after the fact, like, oh, we knew we were going to go to 140 anyway. So that tells me that that whole press conference was a ploy. And you know what else it tells me, D-Free? And I said this too. I said this before, even the incident that happened last night. It told me that Top Rank knew also. I really believe Top Rank knew Keyshawn couldn't make the weight as well, or they knew that he wasn't on weight, and they probably told him to start something with Abdullah, because even in the question, when the lady asked Abdullah, like, oh, so you're number 2 now, what are you looking at? It was obvious that they wanted Abdullah to say something towards Keyshawn, and I thought Abdullah handled himself well. A lot of people said that Keyshawn kind of punked him. I don't think so. I think Abdullah that's just who he is. I think when he said, oh, I let my hands do the talking, I think that's all he needed to say, and I thought he did a great job at that. But I believe in my heart, and I think I've said that in the group chat that we're in, I said I think this was all staged, because I think also they just moved Abdullah up to number 2 in the rankings that week in the WBO. Yeah. So I think that was all staged, you know, for, you know, just to call him out, whatever. And then, you know, Abdullah's eventually going to fight for the title probably next, or maybe in 2 fights or whatever the case may be. But I think the whole thing was staged. And I think Top Rank, they dropped the ball too, because I truly, truly believe they knew Keyshawn wasn't going to make weight as well.
Yeah, I mean, and Abdullah alluded to that as well, because after that press conference, he did an interview, and they was talking to Keyshawn, and he said, "Man, well, I was under the impression that you was going to drop your belt." So when he said that, and then the next day he missed weight, and he said he was going to 140, it all makes sense now. That's the reason why Abdullah said, "I thought you was going to drop your belt," because they already knew that they was going to 140. So that word was already out. Hey, this is going to be my last fight. I'm going to 140. I'm gonna drop the belt.
Yeah.
And so Abdullah was like, well, I was under the impression you was going to drop your belt. But if you want to fight, we could make something happen.
That's what I'm saying. This whole thing was a show. This was all like a show. That whole press conference was a show. Top Rank knew, and Top Rank dropped the ball too. And, you know, they're not going to take any responsibility for what happened, but, you know, they're part of the problem, you know, in my opinion, because they knew, you know, what was going to happen. They knew Keyshawn was going to move up. And now look, Keyshawn, I don't know, maybe felt the type of way throughout the event. Maybe it hit him. He was trying to troll, eating popcorn and stuff, but maybe it hit him. Maybe it hit him after Keon fought. Maybe it hit him right before Kelvin fought. Like, damn, man, this a lot of these people came to see me, and I let them down. Maybe it started to build up in him, and he got angry or whatever the case may be, and that's why the actions that he took yesterday, it falls on him. But maybe he felt the type of way, I messed up, and there's some type of anger. Because listen, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna put the nail in the coffin over one incident. Hopefully this is a learning experience, but this is definitely gonna hurt him in his career. Because listen, if they drop him, what is he gonna go? Who's gonna pick him up? You think Turkey's gonna deal with that? If they drop him, if there's a lawsuit involved?
I mean, I would like to say it's one incident, but it's not, because he was only 5 fights removed from getting the Albright fight taken off his record because he popped dirty for marijuana.
Yeah, and that's being irresponsible.
And another thing was, I thought it was going to be a hard fight for Keldon, because a lot of people said that fight that Keyshawn had with Albright was the toughest fight that he had to date. Like, nobody pressed Keyshawn the way that Albright did. And I was like, I don't think Keldon is nowhere near the fighter of a Keyshawn Davis. No. I think Keyshawn is much better fighter than Keldon is. And so I thought it was going to be a tough fight. And everybody was like, who you think going to win? I was like, man, it's a 50-50 fight. I was like, because for one, Keldon have a lot of holes in his games. He don't fight tall. He fights small. The man is 6'1", but he fight like he's 5'9". Yeah. And so you bringing yourself down to his level, you're gonna leave yourself open. And he does it every fight. It just so happened this was the wrong fight to do it, because Albright couldn't miss the right hand all night. He was catching him with that right hand all night. He could have went in the ring with only one arm. He could have been a one-handed boxer and would be the first fighter in boxing history to go in the ring with one arm and win a fight. Because that right hand didn't miss the entire night. And
it buzzed him a bunch of times. And when this fight was made, I thought it was going to be close. Now, the fight with Keyshawn, it ended up in a majority decision. I believe one judge gave a draw in that fight. Before they ruled it a no contest. The fight, I thought Keyshawn did win the fight, but that was a tough fight for Keyshawn Albright. Albright was very competitive in that fight. When the fight was made with Kelvin, I thought the fight was going to be a lot closer. The only thing I said was maybe Kelvin being a southpaw might give Albright some problems. But then again, this guy is much taller than him, and he doesn't fight tall, like you were saying. And that, the right hand couldn't miss. I thought he should have got a knockdown. I think it was in round 1 or round 2, and the ref dropped the ball on it. I think his glove.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw it. That was the first time that he got buzzed, and he hit him, and Keldon was trying to hold on. He hit him with another body shot, and he went down. And I was like, oh, he dropped him. He dropped, and the referee waved it off. I was like, no, that was a punch. What are you doing? That was a punch. So, but he definitely should have got a knockdown for that one, because he had buzzed him with the first punch, and he went to go grab him, and Albright just stepped back and hit him with a body shot, and the referee was like, nah, it was a trip.
Yeah, that was shaky.
That man was going down already.
Yep, he was hurt. His legs buckled. That definitely should have been a knockdown. He buzzed him a bunch of times in that fight. Real quick, let me shout out my man, Growing with Soul, my man Soul Power. Salute to you, bro. Thanks for coming through. My man A1 says Abdullah ain't about all that lip wrestling. He said, I do my talk. Exactly, that's what I said. He said, I do my talking in the ring. And I think right there, he won. That's all he needed to do.
And he told him, I'm here. I'm here.
Yeah. Growing with Soul says, facts A1. Yep. Yes, indeed. And then he says, I think the fool smoked some of this new weed. He had the munchies that started tripping like he was smoking. You know what? Who knows, man? It's just very disappointing, man. Salute to my man, Prize Fighter TV. Salute to you, bro. It's just very disappointing. That's why I said disappointing DB3, because I like Keyshawn. I like Kelvin. I think the energy is great. I think is great for boxing, but the antics and the unprofessionalism is not great for boxing. And that's why me as a fan is just very disappointed. And I hope they understand that they're losing fans. They're going to be disappointed as well. And I hope they hold some accountability for what they did. Because look, 2,000 people asked for a refund. That is crazy, right? They were there to support you. They're upset. Who knows when they're going to go back to Virginia and showcase them?
I was just about to say that they won't be going back to Virginia for a while. At least not for one of them. If they go back, it's gonna be for somebody else.
Yeah,
it ain't gonna be for one of them. Matter of fact, they might say the next time we can't have all three of y'all on the card, and the next time one of y'all fighting, the rest of y'all can't be in the arena because we don't know what y'all gonna do.
Yeah, listen, it's the same. It's the same for when fans get out of line. They sometimes put lifetime bans on fans. You can't come back to the arena, and it's a shame, if they did something like that with any of the Davis brothers, they say you can't fight in the arena again because you caused so many problems. And it's just a shame and all because you have real fans that support them in Virginia. Listen, I brought this up before. The reason why I knew about Keyshawn years ago is because my homegirl taught them. She taught Keyshawn and Keon in school, I believe in high school. She teaches math in high school. I think she said high school, and she's from the Bronx, and she moved to Virginia. She's a very good friend of mine, and she was the one that put me on. Do you know she was at the fight last night? She didn't get a refund. She still went and supported them. So, I mean, there are going to be fans that are going to be like and go and so, but like, I wonder. I got to call her up and see how she feels after what transpired. But after those fans that stood there to see that, it's a major turnoff. And it's a shame. You're going to face suspension. You may face a ban. You're going to face a lawsuit. You may get dropped from your promotion. Bad business for Keyshawn, who is in his prime of his career. And then you got one that's beginning.
Yeah, their whole brand just took a hard hit because not only is the face of DB3 lose his belt on the scale and get his fight canceled, but then the youngest one and the face of DB3 assault another fighter who had just beat the older brother, and he was in the back celebrating. They assaulted him in his own locker room. They whole brand just took a hard hit, and like people gonna be like, okay, like if I was Bob Erm, and I say, okay, if you're gonna stay under my promotion, the only way you stay under my promotion, your next fight got to be with Albright. He wants to rematch with you, so your next fight is gonna be with him. If you're not willing to take that fight with him, then we're gonna drop you, and you go see if you can find somebody else that wanna put you on their stable.
Listen, hey, if they do that, then I'm all for it. But I doubt they do that. I doubt you're going to see them in Virginia anytime soon. My man Growing was so great point. He puts up, they had the mayor of the city out there, Mike Vick, and AI. The shit was shameful. AI was supposed to walk Keyshawn to the ring. From what I heard, he was supposed to walk Keyshawn to the ring. So there goes that.
Yeah, I heard it was supposed to be AI and Vic. And Vic were supposed to walk him to the ring.
Yeah. Listen, when they had that homecoming last year, at the end of last year, when he had his sisters in the ring singing the national anthem, I think all three brothers, I don't know if maybe it was just Keon, fighting the card. I mean, it was excellent. They sold out. He wasn't even world champion then, right? And you figured this was a big moment. He had the marching band at his last fight. They probably had the same thing scheduled up until he didn't make weight and the fight was canceled. They probably had the same thing. It's probably a total letdown, and it's the exposure. I mean, the exposure for that marching band, those kids, exposure of his sisters showing, looking out, for your family, right? That it's a family thing. It's a bad look altogether. And it's only one person you can blame, and that's himself, and that's Keyshawn Davis.
Yeah. Like I said, unfortunately, he's the face of DB3, and he was the one that pretty much had the worst attitude attitude out of the whole situation, because even like you said, Keldon, he lost, but he took his loss like a man. I mean,
Yeah.
rightfully so. He's the older brother. He's supposed to set an example. But it was like Keyshawn. I mean, like ain't it's no getting to him. He's just a hard-headed young dude.
Yeah.
And he's one of those dudes that whatever he set his mind to do, he gonna do, and can't nobody talk him out. And the problem with that is when those guys usually get in trouble when they get in trouble a lot.
Yeah. No, it's just bad. Oppen LD says it was Keyshawn who headbutted Nareed or Albright. Yeah, that's what D Free was saying earlier, that he see, I didn't hear anything for Keyshawn, but D Free said that Keyshawn said that he grabbed him and headbutted him, so he admitted to that. So, but it was good job by Kelvin Davis. You know, he is the older of the brothers. He's all three doing what an older brother should too. He kind of tried to break it up and he held them back, and he apologized. He was the first one to apologize out of everybody too. So shout out to Kelvin Davis. I think he did a good job. Kelvin Davis, at the weigh-in, he was a little mouthy, but I think that just goes with the territory. But like I said, there's another person that I've met in person that I spoke to. We had a good conversation. We even was bashing about football because he's a Cowboys fan, and was talking about that, and he mad cool. Like you would have never expected this from them.
And you know what the worst part about the whole thing that happened last night was the fact that Keyshawn had his 7-month-old baby there.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
That whole melee went down, and I said this last night. I said that whole melee went down, and there was only like 2 or 3 security guards back there or police officers. What if they would have just got the mace and everybody because they couldn't get the crowd under control? Now you got that baby right there that's going to get affected by mace as well.
That's an excellent point. Yeah, I've seen it happen.
It's not fully. That baby lungs is not fully developed yet.
Yeah.
You got a baby sitting there choking off a mace, trying to catch his breath.
Listen, I've seen it. I've seen it happen, not with a baby, but I've seen it happen in an altercation in the Bronx where it was some stuff when it wasn't a cop, somebody pulled mace and there were kids around, and they maced the other. It was a woman. She maced somebody else, but the spray got out and it hit kids, and the kids is crying, and I mean, God forbid, he put his kid in danger. And I'm telling you one thing, I don't know who his wife or his girl or baby mom's is. She was there. I know for a fact she got in his ass last night because about that. So Keyshawn is getting it from every direction. He's getting it from us, the fans. He's getting it from, all the, people on social media, all the media people. But I know for a fact his moms and his baby moms, they got in his ass too, because like you said, D-Free, if the security guards that came out, pulled a mace and started spraying, and that baby was around, that would have been a very crazy situation. Sock, my brother, coming in mad late. I know why you coming in late, but we're not here to talk baseball. We're talking boxing. So, but salute to you, Sock. I noticed you got your Red Sox hat today. You haven't been wearing it as much, but of course you're going to wear it today, right?
Well, I mean, if I don't wear it today, when am I going to wear it?
What's going on, Sock?
What's going on, boy?
Congratulations, you guys beat the Yankees 2 out of 3. Like you said, you guys are amazing, man. You guys are amazing.
Well, I didn't say that. I said that about the Yankees, but
you're an asshole.
On Friday, and then someone bit my line in the chat like always, Brett. But anyways, happy National Best Friend Day.
Oh, happy National Best Friend, my best friend in the whole wide world. Let me read this chat, and then Sock, you can go in. Because we've been going in. So A1 says, man, my son's 7 months old. Ain't no motherfucking way I'm letting him be anywhere near any type of physical altercation. Hell, not even around motherfuckers screaming at each other. Facts. Growing Soul said the problem is Keyshawn thinks he's a superstar already. He thinks he's Crawford. Facts again, absolutely. I've been saying, oh shit, it's the ghost Sock. Yeah, it is. Sock is back.
I mean, where do we go? I mean, it's from the weigh-in, miss. I mean, that was a horrible look for his brand, right? I'm sure Top Rank is not happy with him at all. The fans of Norfolk, I mean, this was going to be his first title defense, right?
Yep.
and he does this. You know, we're in an era, and he's part of this generation that men are not behaving like men, and athletes are not immune to it. I mean, just look at all the headlines that have been made by these guys that you figured are supposed to be carrying the sport, in the next 5 to 10 years. They're making more noise outside of the ring. I mean, Garcia, Teofimo, now Keyshawn, these. I don't know what's the word. It's a weak-minded, feminine, emotional generation of men that are coming up. I don't know what's going on, and athletes are not immune to it. I don't want to unload on this dude because he's a young guy. I've been in locker rooms. I've been part of teams, and people get hyped up, and Albright. Salute to Albright. They tried to fuck him, with that split decision.
Yeah.
And if they're hooping and hollering in the locker room, he deserved it. They went in your home turf and they whooped you.
Yeah.
Now none of us were there. I don't know exactly what happened. And we all have siblings. I want to believe, right? We would do anything for our brothers in the heat of the moment. But there's no place for that, in a professional world. I forget the young man's name that we interviewed in Newark, the Muslim kid.
Nims.
But Abdullah Mason was interviewed, and he was asked his opinion on what happened, and he said, he doesn't move that way, and I don't think it's coincidence. Abdullah Mason's a devout Muslim, I believe.
Yeah, I believe so.
He's got, and I mentioned there's a discipline and a structure, and I think how it molds, especially men. Keyshawn Davis needs to take a look in the mirror. Like someone has said in the chat, he thinks he's a superstar. Keyshawn Davis could walk up and down Fifth Avenue, and if he's not wearing boxing trunks, no one's gonna know who he is. He's a big fish in a small pond called Norfolk, Virginia, and that's it. And the fact that it was probably gonna be the last time he was gonna be on ESPN, that's horrible. Like that is a bad taste he left in a lot of people's palate, and he's gonna have to live up to it. He apologized, so he put out a public apology. Good by him, And but I mean, I'm sure he's going to change his image around a little bit, little by little. I mean, we saw Shakur Stevenson. The last time I saw Shakur Stevenson sit down on a punch was at that gas station when he saw like a young girl.
Jesus.
And no one mentions that now. So Keyshawn's gonna have to live this up, And in a couple of years, if he stays the straight and narrow, no one will remember this at all. But salute to Albright, man. Philly.
No, definitely. That was the highlight of the weekend. Was
Philly
his performance.
And that's my take on it. I mean, I could easily say some stuff, but you got to remember, Keyshawn is a young guy, and we all make mistakes. And I think his brothers need to maybe look at themselves. That last thing can only take you so far, right?
Yeah, yes, indeed. I mean, that's why the title, The Disappointment in DB3. I mean, I've seen some channels really get at Keyshawn, and I guess rightfully so. Mm-hmm. I wanted to go on here. We haven't gone live in a minute, and done our show in a while. And I wanted to go on because I've been a supporter of Keyshawn, and as you see, I put a picture of me and him there. I've met Keyshawn on multiple occasions, and I've met his brothers, and we have conversations, and they've been good dudes. You know what I'm saying? So they've always treated me with respect. The energy's been good, as you see here. Let me see, the other picture didn't come up, but hold on one second. And I wanted to give an outlook from a guy that supports them and let them know, listen, we're disappointed. We can still support, but you got to kind of hold this L, and you got to kind of humble yourselves a little bit, and you have to learn to be more professional. That's just the way it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
And the whole thing came from this was the missing of the weight. If he makes weight like a professional, I don't think any of this happens. The only thing that still happens is that Albright is still going to beat Kelvin Davis. I don't think you could change that. But other than that, I don't think you have any other problems, because if Keyshawn is on weight and he's prepping for his fight, getting his hand wraps, warming or whatever, I don't think he's there to even be at ringside when Kelvin's fighting. You know, he's watching on TV like he did the last time when he was in when they were in Norfolk the last time. He was watching from the back. He wasn't there. So I think that adds to it, because, you know, I think after the whole situation, and then him maybe after Keon fight, him eating the popcorn and kind of trolling and trying to be funny, you know, I think it hit him. I think he got upset. I think he felt a little angry, like he disappointed the fans. Listen, Sock, I don't know, you wasn't here, so I don't know if you know this. Over 2,000 people asked for refunds.
Right.
They were supposed to sell out that arena.
I read that. Yes.
So.
Now, I don't know how much you've spoken about the weight, the missing of the weight. When you're 4 pounds over, and then you go through the whole charade of doing the stepping on the scale, that shows me you had no intention of making the weight at all, and hoping that De Los Santos will still go ahead with the fight. Credit to Samson and Team De Los Santos for saying no. And give me my money.
Yeah. No, yeah. And we praised them for that too in the beginning. I think that was good for them. I think that's the importance of having a good team, where the team, protects their fighter, right? Because maybe he's brave and says, you know what, let me fight for the world title anyway. I'll do it. Let's go. Maybe they work something out and he takes that. But no, credit to his team for protecting him, and credit to his team for making sure he got his full purse. So he went through the training camp. He did his part. He showed up to the weigh-in. He showed up to the press conference. He showed up to the fight, and there was no fight. So he should get paid, and rightfully so. Reading some of the comments, he said that was a half-ass apology he gave. I could probably agree with that. I have to watch it, so personally I haven't seen it. But yeah, it probably was. I believe you. That was not a mistake. No, I believe he knew he couldn't make weight weeks before the fight. And what I said earlier, Crush, is that I think the beginning of the week, they could have started negotiations then. They could have said, listen, we're not going to make weight. Here's the situation. But no, I think with them coming into the weigh-in the way they did, he was dancing and hopping and like nothing. He knew he couldn't make the weight. He couldn't make the weight. And he probably knew that weeks before. So I think, yeah, it definitely wasn't a mistake. He knew what he was doing. And I think they should have tried to at least save the fight.
Has his trainer Bomac made any comments? Because there's 3 things that Bomac loves. Because when you win, it's easy to be in front of the camera, right?
Yes.
This is an L on Bomac. He's a head trainer.
Yeah.
So Bomac loves 3 things: a knife and fork and a camera. And that's,
I'm glad you said that, Sock. I'm glad you said that, because I said that earlier. Yeah. They were like, what? How you put that on Bomac? I'm like, dog, he's the head trainer.
What do you mean?
What are you talking about? That's a reflection of Bomac. He's the head trainer. If that man was off weight, Bomac knew he was off weight. They said that man woke up and he was 2 pounds off weight. And then when he went to the scale that night, he was 4 pounds off weight. Well, if you woke up that morning, you was 2 pounds overweight, the first thing your trainer is doing is putting you in a sauna suit and trying to get you to lose that weight. They're trying to get you to make weight. And so if he didn't do anything, he just said, he should be on weight by the night. That was a failure on his behalf. He's the trainer.
That was the quote of the day. Sa, can you repeat that? What is Bomac's 3 favorite things?
A knife and fork and a camera, because fat man likes a camera. When everything is gravy, I didn't mean, pardon the pun. When everything is cool, he's the first one on camera, talking like he invented the laces on the glove, and where you at now? Where's the accountability for your fighter? Okay, your second most prominent fighter that you train missing weight, a world champion who is making his first title defense, who has no business not making weight, losing the belt on the scale. Come on, man.
No, I agree.
Where you
I agree. That's a very good point. I know that he apologized about what happened yesterday. But like I said, I haven't heard any apologies about the weight, any comments about it. I heard Bud apologize about what happened yesterday, but not about I mean, it's not Bud's fighter. He's just a supporter.
And Bomac was talking like Keyshawn was gonna make weight. He said, "Man, Keyshawn just had a fight 5 months ago. This is his second fight this year, and he came into camp better than he ever came in camp before. So he's gonna be good." Yeah. And then we get to the daggone weigh-in. He a couple of ounces from overweight at 140 pounds.
Crazy.
You're right. 4.3. Sock, quick question. As a guy that you've covered many fights at a press conference, you've been at weigh-ins, press conference, and fights. Between the press conference and weigh-in, what is the best time to interview a fighter? Which one, the press conference or the weigh-in?
The press conference. At the weigh-in, I mean, you talk about like after the weigh-in, after they fight?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. What's the best time? And it's the reason why I'm asking you this.
I mean, it depends on the fighter. I would probably say after the weigh-in because there's that sense of relief. It's like, okay, fine. Like we did our part. Now, tomorrow, let's go. I get to eat. Yeah, it's harder because sometimes if the guy's struggling, that they're running out, out the room to go.
That's why I think the press conference is easier. The weigh-in is tougher because I think guys after the weigh-in, they don't want to be bothered. They just want to go rehydrate. And just go. And usually that's the case when after the weigh-in, guys are out. And that's and the reason why I bring this up because at the last fight in February, Keyshawn was one of the last two fighters to leave. Everybody broke out after the weigh-in. Keyshawn made weight, and he was him and the other fighter, the guy that was being trained by Roy Jones. They were the last two fighters to leave the weigh-in. Everybody bolted out of there. Nobody wanted to be bothered. Everybody's cranky. No interviews. Keyshawn gave an interview, and he stood there, and he was chilling. He maybe drank something, and he was good. And that told me he made the weight pretty easily. And then now, come full circle, look what happened this weekend: 4.3 pounds. So that's just crazy. That's why I'm saying like I was heavy supporter of Keyshawn, and I was very impressed by that. And I brought those things up, in his last fight, I was impressed. He was there to talk to people, greet people, whatever. And even in Newark last year, he was one of the last people to leave the weigh-ins as well. So that's why I asked you that, because the press conference is easier. People will talk, whatever. But the weigh-in, a lot of these guys, they don't want to talk to you. So it's crazy how he was in such great shape to win the world title, but to defend it, it's like he didn't even care. It's like, oh, I'm in my hometown. They're going to fight me. There's no way. He probably had the attitude like, all right, whatever. He'll take the fight because, they're not going to lose money on this or Top Rank will give him whatever because they're going to make money. And it's that mentality that's going to bury his career.
Right. And let's not look, he's already 26. I mean, he's kind of hitting that stride. I'm not saying obviously, he's got the prime of his athletic peak, but at 26, especially at the lighter weight classes, it's going to be hard, for him. It's how many fights do you have? 13?
13 fights, bro.
Yeah, 13 fights.
Just 13.
Obviously, the bigger names are at, the higher weight classes, 40, 47. When he was in the Olympics, he was at 139. So, look, to me, I'm happy for De Los Santos. Now, what happens with that belt? Does De Los Santos automatically become the number one contender and fights a vacant title?
I don't know. I mean, I would think, what the WBO, what Bob orders, right? WBO.
The rumor is that De Los Santos is going to fight Abdullah Mason for the vacant belt. That's the rumor. Or Abdullah Mason is going to fight Sam Noki.
Yeah, Sam Noki or whatever.
Sam Noki. He's the number one contender, and Abdullah Mason is number two. But if and De Los Santos, he wasn't even ranked in the sanctioning body prior to them making his fight. I think it was like February, he wasn't ranked at all. And then came I think like March or April, he was ranked like number 8 all of a sudden. So I think it probably would be Abdullah Mason versus Sam Noki for the vacant title. And I said this a while back. I said Abdullah Mason is going to be fighting for a title by the end of this year. Well,
Yeah.
come to find out, it's a little bit sooner than that because Keyshawn dropped the belt, or he got stripped of the belt. I should say he got stripped of the belt.
And
I think
that I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but
no, go ahead.
It's so shit, you know, and that's the type of bullshit that people like myself, I've never thought that I would ever hear myself like say this, but I'm tired of boxing. Like I'm a fan of 40 plus years, you know. I mean, it's the bullshit. Like, why isn't okay? We're setting up not a super fight, but a really big fight. We're talking about maybe happening at the end of the year. You know, Abdullah Mason and Keyshawn Davis. You know, why isn't that happening? You know, that's the bullshit that that really alienates fans. That's why nobody gives a fuck about this sport outside of the nerds like us three and everybody else in the chat. You know what I mean? It's like it's too much bullshit going on.
But that's the fighters. The fighters are doing that in the promotions because look, you know what Bob orders, right? Bob usually controls the WBO, right? So he can make these fights if he wanted to. But then again, Keyshawn can't fight at 135 anymore because obviously can't make the weight. So you can forget Keyshawn fighting Abdullah now, unless later on when Abdullah moves up, then they make the fight. But for now, that fight's dead, bro. So like now they could make the one that's asked out.
I was gonna say Abdullah said after his fight, he was like, I fight Keyshawn at 140. If he want to make the fight at 140, I'll fight him at 140.
And they should try to make that fight. I doubt it, but they should try to make it. I think what's crazy is that I think who's asked out in this is De Los Santos. So that's why I was happy that he got his pay. He got full pay. I believe it was something about $700K is what I read. I don't know how true it is, but $700K just to work out and get in shape. I mean, he's going to be out of action for like 2 years plus. But I don't think Top Rank promotes De Los Santos. So now what they got to do is they got to try to put De Los Santos in some type of interim title where he could get guaranteed a title shot if he wins his next fight. You know, and that's the way it goes. You know, you got Top Rank. They got the champions at 126. Shushu's been trying to get a world title, and they got Espinoza there. Why Espinoza can't get a fight with Shushu?
Well, Shushu about to fight.
These fights should be happening.
Shushu about to fight Ray Vargas for the WBC title.
No, he's not. He's fighting for like an interim or something in July 26th. He's the co-main event. Yeah, fight. Yeah, that's not a title fight. It's like an interim or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you know. So
that was because they made that fight before they made the fight for Cool Boy and Oshaki Foster. That fight for Shushu was already made. And
no. The fight with Oshaki and Cool Boy, I think they were already in the works for that because he called out Cool Boy, but Cool Boy's now moving up in weight.
But what I'm saying is they was in talks of making that fight, but the fight wasn't made yet. So they had already made Shushu fight. So they was making Shushu interim title fight. So if that fight doesn't go through with Oshaki Foster, he's gonna fight Cool Boy for the title because he will be the interim title holder now. If he wins his fight, he will be the interim title holder. So now that Cool Boy is going up, that belt is gonna be vacant. Shushu next fight is supposed to be Ray Vargas for the title. After this fight, if he wins this fight, his next fight is supposed to be Ray Vargas for the title.
And you know what? That's cool and all, but what I'm saying is that Top Rank has a champion already there, where they could have matched him with Espinoza. Espinoza just had a fight, so now they could put them, you know, as the next fight. That's what I'm saying. But Espinoza sounds like he doesn't want. They don't want the fight. But what I'm saying is the promoter should make that fight.
Where's Shushu ranked at in the WBO though?
I think he's like 1 or 2.
Nah, he's not that high.
I'm positive he's ranked high. What in the WBC? He's number 1.
WBC, I think the WBC he's number 2, and he's fighting for number 1. I think he's number 2, or he might be number 1. I know he's right around. I know he's right around number 2, number 1 for the WBC. I know that, but the WBO, I don't think he's ranked that high.
I got to look this up because I thought he was ranked number 1 in one of them. It wasn't the IBF. The IBF
might be the WBC. I'm about to pull it up.
I'm about to look too because let me read the thing. Hold on, let's see. He says, in my opinion, Keyshawn could have made 135. His muscles look very. I mean, I don't know what Keyshawn did this camp, but like I said, in his last fight, he made the weight seem kind of easy in my opinion. It looked like he was in, you know, he made the weight good. He was in good shape. He had a great performance. I mean, I mean, yeah, he fought a champion, you know, but kind of lesser competition. You know, that guy. You know, that guy was.
Oh no, you're right. You're right. The WBO, he is ranked number 1. You're right.
That's what I thought. Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I'm saying. So, like, I don't understand why Top Rank can't make that fight.
Yeah, he's ranked number 1 in the WBO and the WBC.
Yeah, that's what he's ranked high. Because the reason why I know this is because remember
in the WBA.
Yeah, sometime last year. Yeah, remember sometime last year he went to Puerto Rico. The WBO is based out in Puerto Rico, and he went out there, and I think he got like some award or something from the WBO. That's why I knew he was ranked really high in the WBO. I didn't know he was ranked number 1 in WBC as well. The IBF is the only one I don't think he's ranked that high in.
Yeah, the WBA he's ranked number 2. The WBC he's number 1, and the WBO he's number 1.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
I think he was going for the WBC because him and Cool Boy had those words, and so he was like, man, I'm trying to get Cool Boy in the ring, and then Cool Boy ducked him. Cool Boy went to go fight O'Shaquie Foster. And
yeah, I mean, like, I don't like to.
That's a bigger name.
Yeah, I don't like to call.
Rightfully so, O'Shaquie Foster might be a bigger name. But Cool Boy only had 2 fights at 130. Yeah. I mean, at 126. He only had 2 fights.
No, that's true. I just don't like calling fighters ducks.
It ain't like the man been fighting there for years. He only had 2 fights. He had the fight with the Castro, and then he had the rematch with Brandon Figueroa. That's it. He ain't fighting nobody else.
No, I understand that. I just don't like calling when they go and moving up in weight and fighting for a world title up in weight. You know, and I like Shushu. I mean, you know, Shushu's the hometown guy, so I like Shushu a lot. But I just don't, you know, I'll give him a pass. But I think him and Espinoza, they should be fighting for sure because they're promoted by the same guy, the same.
But you see, you know, the thing with Bob though, but Bob trying to make sure he get all those belts under control. So he already got one guy that has a belt. Why not have Shushu go for that other belt? That way he got 2 belts under his control. And then if he wants to unify those belts, then he can, because those 2 guys is under his control. He can unify the belts. Now he still have both belts instead of those 2 guys fighting each other for 1 belt, and these other belts are still out there under somebody else's, or somebody else can go get that other belt.
I get that, but they're making Shushu fight more fights than what he has to. Like what other fighters, they don't fight as many times. Like it's very weird with Top Rank. Like look at Keyshawn. Look how many fights he got, and he became a world champion. You know what I'm saying? 13 fight in his 13th fight. You know why Shushu got to fight more fights?
Well, and I was saying that the other day too. But we already know how Bob do when a guy is an Olympian. He moves those guys kind of fast.
Yeah, but Shushu was supposed to be. Shushu didn't go to the Olympics because of COVID.
Right.
No, but I'm just saying. But he did the same thing with Shakur. Shakur had a title fight fairly quick, like right around 13, 14 fights.
Yeah.
He had a title
Top Rank, they love the Olympians. Like they signed them, the guys that win nationals quick. You know, but I don't like it. I don't like, you know, anything can happen in boxing.
They doing Shushu the same way they doing Abdullah Mason.
Pretty much.
Shushu and Abdullah Mason.
But Abdullah Mason's much younger. Shushu's like almost 26 years old. Abdullah Mason's 21. You know, and Shushu had to go through the amateurs. You know, like I said, he went. You know, he qualified to be in the Olympics, and then COVID kind of cut his career. Abdullah's just been busier because the amateurs is not as long, but they've kept them busy. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a little bit of a difference. You know what I'm saying? So, you know,
I mean, I know. I mean, like I said, I don't like how he do it neither, but I at least he stayed consistent with doing it. I could say, well, he's consistent. I can't get mad with a man being consistent. If he was doing it for one person and another person had the same stature and he's not doing it for them, then I'd be like, oh, he not doing it. But he's consistent. If you went to the Olympics and you medal in the Olympics, he's going to push you. Especially like Shakur was a silver medalist, Keyshawn was a silver medalist, Loma was a gold medalist. So he's pushing those guys because they was medalists in the Olympics. So I'm like, okay, well, I can't really say too much because he's consistent across the board with it.
No, that's a good point. You're right. So, but yeah, I mean, Keyshawn has been, beneficial of, silver medalist, 13 fights, won a world title. He had a homecoming fight, not once but twice. He messed up the bag on the second one, and he messed up double time by getting into that altercation. And it's just very disappointing because this is a guy that I said on this show multiple times, and people roasted me about it, and they'll probably roast me some more. I've said that he beats Tank and he cleans out the 135 division, and that's never going to happen now because now he's out of the division. So we could forget about.
Let me ask you a question. Now we know that he didn't try to make weight. We know he did that on purpose. Did you think he did that on purpose because he was scared of the power of De Los Santos?
No, I don't think he did it on purpose to get out of the fight. Not to get out of the fight, to have that extra weight on. The extra 2 pounds
against De Los Santos. Yeah, to protect himself against De Los Santos. He knows De Los Santos is a big puncher. He knows he's a big puncher because why not? You made the weight for Berinchik, but you didn't make the weight for De Los Santos. De Los Santos been out of the ring for 18 months. He hasn't fought since he fought Shakur.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, but I think that's tough to believe. I would find it hard to believe that he did that to not have the fight with De Los Santos because that was a hand chosen fight. The guy wasn't ranked in the top 10.
But I think what DP is trying to say, not to necessarily avoid the fight, but to have that advantage by saying, "Hey, I'll give you the advantage. Let's do the fight, and I'm gonna have that advantage of not killing myself and having the extra protection." Is that what I'm interpreting?
I think that's fair. I think that's a fair point.
Yeah.
I don't think that that's the case. I do think that he struggled to make weight, and I think that he didn't want to kill himself to lose the extra pounds. Everybody knows that the last 2 or 3 pounds is the toughest to lose, and it's the hardest to lose. You know what I'm saying? So I just think that he didn't want to kill himself like maybe he did in the last one, because maybe in the last fight, remember I said I stand by it. I think he made the weight comfortably. I think in this fight, I think he realized he couldn't, and he said, you know what, I'm not going to kill myself, because if I do try to kill myself to make these, I'm not going to be sharp in my fight with De Los Santos.
Hey, you know what? I'm starting to see a trend. All these guys getting titles for the first time, and they not being professional. They celebrating a little bit too much. You ain't get a chance to defend that title yet, and you celebrating a little bit too much because Keyshawn didn't make the weight, and it's probably because he was celebrating too much, and he was overweight, and he was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna get down enough to where I'm not at the limit where they can cancel the fight. It's going to be up to the fighter. And then we see the same thing with Jerome Businis. He was struggling to make the weight after he won his title. After he got his title, he was struggling to make the weight. And I'm like, oh, these guys are celebrating just a little bit too much as a title for the first time getting a title.
Well, Shakur did it after he unified. When Shakur unified, he did it too, because he did it against Conceição, and that was in Newark. That was his hometown in Newark. He was supposed to fight, because he did fight Conceição, but he didn't go over 4 pounds. He was over maybe 2 pounds or something like that. So I mean, I understand what you guys saying, and I would hate to believe that he would do that just because he wanted to get the advantage. I just want to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that I think he probably tried, and I think he realized maybe a week or two in that, you know what, I can't do it, and I'm going to just weaken myself. and I won't be as sharp in the ring. And that's where he didn't work as hard, to try to lose those pounds. That's what I truly believe, But at the end of the day, it's still unprofessional, and he was wrong, and look what it did to him. The chain of events that happened after that. So if he was professional enough, if he was on weight, if he was disciplined, whatever the case you call it, or maybe none of the events that happened yesterday would have happened, except Albright would have beat Kelvin Davis. That's the only thing that would have stood the same. So.
And, what you was about to say, Sok?
No, the same, that Stevenson did the same thing. And look, Keyshawn is going to have some time to think about it. Now, what are the repercussions? Yeah, you can apologize, but what are the repercussions? Does Albright go the legal way? I mean, does he try to sue? It may not be the cool thing to do, but it may be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think he should. I think he should.
That's assault.
Yes.
That's one thing. Is there going to be a suspension?
Yeah.
It's
what if Top Rank had something in the contract that says any altercations outside of the ring, they could immediately release you of your promotional contract. He could get he might get dropped. He could get fined. He could get He could get fined. He could get suspended. He could get dropped from his promotional ban. We don't know what's going to happen. And Albright could go ahead and press charges.
Released though. I mean, because it's not like he's getting. He only gets paid when he fights. So. He's going to get sat down. I think there's going to be a suspension. I don't know what the if there's any type of what do you call it? Good character clause in his contract. I doubt it. I mean, it's boxing. I mean, who the fuck are we kidding?
Yeah,
I doubt it. Right.
Yeah. I think he should be sat down for at the minimum a year. He should be sat down at the minimum a year.
I can see that. I can see that.
I think he has to.
I said something before you came up, Sok. Albright's promoter, he alluded to the fact that they was going to sue. He didn't come out and actually say that they was going to sue, but he did an interview. I think it was either later on that night or might have been the next morning. It might have been this morning. I saw it today, and he said that for every action there's a reaction, and he's like, Keyshawn is going to pay one way or another. So he alluded to that they might be suing, but he didn't just come out and say it. But he alluded to it, so they might be looking to get in his pocket some more.
Yeah. I mean, is he promoted like Artie Palulo? Because that's like the only guy I know from Philly.
I don't know.
Banner Promotions, but anyways, I mean, if he does it, he's within his right, and it's funny because now instead of us talking about would probably be an immediate rematch, right, between Albright and was it Kelvin?
Kelvin.
Keyshawn. I mean, Kelvin. Yeah, that was Kelvin.
Yeah, Kelvin. Because that's the natural thing to do, right? Because I mean, they run it back. The fight's even bigger. There's more promotion behind it. Now we're talking about this nonsense. So we shall see. Did you guys touch on Junto Nakatani?
No, we haven't spoken about any of the fights.
Okay.
I mean, if you want to.
Even if Keyshawn Davis would have fought, he still would have been the second best fighter fighting this weekend. Nakatani's a real deal. There's nothing to laugh about.
I want to see that fight between him and Monster Inoue. I want to see that fight, and I'm not real big on Japanese fighters like that, but it's something telling me that Nakatani might have Monster Inoue's number.
It's the golden era of Japanese boxing.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen anything like this. I mean,
so Nakatani would have to move up one more weight class, right, to make that fight?
3
Which
pounds.
is what? 4 pounds?
They was. I think he might be at 118. I think he might be at 118. But I know he had stepped to Monster Inoue right before his last fight, and before that fight was announced, and he was trying to make that fight with Monster, and they was like, "Yeah, we can do it." And then Monster had announced his fight that he had, and so he wants to fight with Monster. So maybe they'll do it. I don't know.
That'd be a major fight in Japan. I think Monster beats her. I think Monster's a bigger guy, but it'll be interesting. I mean, it just sucks that it'll be in Japan and we have to, be up late or early.
It probably come on like around 7 in the morning.
Yeah.
It's that guy's a problem, trained by Rudy Hernandez, he really, if you watch him, the way he turns over his shot and he throws combinations, he's fundamentally sound, and he seems to be getting better every time out. When the Monster, I'm not saying that you're seeing holes in the armor, but maybe the miles are starting to catch up. He catches him at the right time. If
we just seen Monster dropped in multiple fights now.
Yeah. Now he's got that Trinidad in him. He's got that dog in him. He pisses him off when you hurt him. But,
that last fight when he got dropped, he took a minute before he got up. He took the whole 8 count. He was like, "Oh, this joint rocked me a little bit."
And it happened late in the round. If it would have been early in the round, you don't know. History might have happened.
Yeah, but I think he was smart enough to compose himself. I think I like that about Monster in that last fight. Like he didn't try to jump up right away. Like he knew, he composed himself. Like he knew what was going on. And it was the end of the round. I would have liked to seen if it was like the middle of the round. I do think he would have been able to contain himself, because I do think he could take a good shot. I mean, just because you get dropped doesn't mean your chin is bad. I think, that was a flush shot that he walked into.
Mm-hmm.
That was Marquez Manny Pacquiao knockout right there, and he got up from that.
Yeah,
that was kind of like almost, it was a little similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, I can only compare it to Trinidad, that type of, and the way he responds afterwards, those guys are legit. They're both top 10 fighters. Pound for pound is very subjective, but they are very must watch. Definitely worth the YouTube watch. What else happened over the weekend?
Wardley, he was losing like every round.
Right, and Wardley. Okay,
and he stopped.
Did you see that? What was your assessment on that?
I think
clean shot.
I think Wardley's okay. I don't think too much of him. He can punch, but he can definitely be outboxed, as you saw yesterday.
Yeah, he's not good. He's not good with boxers. He's not good at all with boxers.
But he's got punch. I think the guy's going to dispute it because they said they stopped the fight early. I mean, he was kind of done. He did get up, but they did stop the fight kind of quick. I don't know. I think he would have been stopped either way. I don't know why they even bothered, but I guess I understand why they would.
Does Frank Warren put in his 2 guys? He also has Murata.
Moses, was it Moses?
Moses.
Yeah.
Do they?
I heard him and Dylan White. They're trying to get him against Dylan White. That's a pretty decent step up. I don't know. I read that somewhere. I don't know how.
Dylan White hasn't fought what, in 2 years?
Almost 2 years, pretty much. But that's what I heard. I don't know how true it is.
Dylan White just had a fight. Nobody paid attention to it, but he just had a fight. I think he had a fight. Okay. It was either earlier this year or it was late last year. He just had a fight. Yeah, it just nobody paid attention to it. But all Moses got to do is throw uppercuts. Dillian White is a sucker for an uppercut. Throw an uppercut, he's going to sleep. He's going to sleep. The one thing you can say about Dillian White, if he's going to lose, it's going to be by knockout. He's not going to lose by decision. He's never lost a fight by decision. It's always been by knockout.
Yeah, that kid Moses seems like he's the real deal. I want to see more of him, but he seems like that. Wardley, he's a heavyweight and he fights like a heavyweight, but you can't outbox him. At least that's what it's shown yesterday. But he's got pop.
The heavyweight that I'm looking to see again is Felix Ali. I want to see him again. I haven't seen him in a while.
He's on the undercard of Shakur. I think he's in that fight.
Oh, he is?
Yeah. Oh, he is? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I believe he's on that show.
I didn't know that. Yeah, I want to see him because I think he might be the future of American heavyweight fighters.
I think he's having trouble finding opponents. I think he's having a hard time getting opponents.
They scared to get in the ring with him. That man can box and he got power.
Because he ended up fighting.
I think he only like 22, 21, somewhere around there.
Yeah, but he had like 5 fights, and I think he's fought the same opponent twice already. So I don't know.
The last one was in Connecticut.
Yeah, but he fought somebody that he already fought. So I think the first fight it went to 4 rounds, and then the second time they fought, he stopped him.
Put him in there with Richard Torres. I'd love to see it.
Oh, he'll knock Richard Torres out.
I know. That's why I said put him in
Torres has a fight coming up, right?
I don't know. I haven't seen anything.
Oh no, that was a while ago. He just headlined a fight. He just headlined a fight probably about 3-4 months ago. He just headlined a card, and it was the worst weekend of boxing. I think it was like right before the May 2nd card or right after the May 2nd card. I think it was right before. Right before the May 2nd card, Richard Torres had headlined his card, and
he fought the Italian.
Right.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Zoom verse. That's what we're talking about. Moses
Tuama.
Yeah.
The Hall of Fame induction this weekend. Normally, I don't know what happened. Normally we get a show in New York, Top Rank, but instead I think Demetrius Salita had a card up there, up in that casino up there. Any thoughts on the Hall of Fame?
I wasn't paying attention. I know Vinny Paz got in, right? The Commissioner Gordon got in too. Commissioner
Gordon got in. Salute to him. Friend of the show. Vinny Pazienza. What can I say? I never watched a Vinny Pazienza fight and thought I was watching a Hall of Famer. But he's a good guy.
I'm glad
that's all I can say. Entertaining, a character, but Hall of Fame might be a little bit too much. But salute to him. I'm sure it's a dream come true to him. They had the movie about his his comeback from the accident. But I think there's other guys that should have probably gotten in before him. But hey, salute.
I'm glad you brought up the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
You now that Loma's retired, you think he should go into the Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I believe so. I
mean, I think he's going to get into the Hall of Fame. I just think he hasn't done enough for me to say he's going into the Hall of Fame. He only had 21 fights. I know he's a multi-division champion, but I just don't think he's done enough because all of the big fights that he had, he lost. He lost against Devin Haney. He lost against Tio.
He didn't get the decision against Devin Haney. I don't know if he lost.
I knew he was going to say
whether you believe he won or not, they gave it to Devin Haney. So
right.
I'm just saying.
You can make a case.
I don't know if he's done enough.
I think he's a Hall of Famer. I just don't want to label. And we had this debate in the group chat that we're in. Sock was in it, and Reno was in it, and Brad. And I don't think he's an all-time great. I think he's a Hall of Famer. He had a great amateur career, but I don't think he's an all-time great because he hasn't really had that moment. Now, yeah, he got some good wins. Nicholas Walters was supposed to be a monster, and he destroyed him. He beat Gary Russell. Those are the 2 big wins. Other than that,
light work too.
Like you always say that. But still, those are 2 very, very good wins. Yeah. But when it came to like the Tio fight, he was favorite. He lost 7 rounds easy in that fight because he waited to the second half to fight. The Haney fight, that was a close fight. Some people said he won, but he got the loss. And then, he beat a Cambosis. So losing to Salido. To me, he hasn't had that moment.
But Salido, though, you have to go into detail. I mean, Salido was overweight.
He was overweight, yeah.
And it was an ugly fight.
I think he's going to get voted in. I just don't think he's done enough for me to say he's a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's done enough.
I think if he would have had the rematch with Tio or with Haney, that would have been his moment because they had they had the 2 fights, right? And then maybe he would have had a chance to avenge one of those. It's just to me like and not all Hall of Famers are going to have that moment, but some Hall of Famers have the moment where they had a good victory over another Hall of Fame fighter. What Hall of Famer did Loma beat?
Linares?
Huh?
He did beat Linares, who's a very good fighter.
Is Linares a Hall of Famer?
No, he's not a Hall of Famer. But
that's what I'm saying. He hasn't. Does he have a Hall of Fame on his record, right? On his resume.
If you want to put Rigondeaux, I think Rigondeaux make a case for the Hall of Fame.
I don't think
Rigondeaux was like 50.
Yeah, I don't know if Rigondeaux is going to make it to the Hall of Fame. I don't know if Rigondeaux is going to make it into the Hall of Fame.
It's going to be tough for Rigondeaux.
Yeah, I thought he was at one point, but now I don't know if he's going to make it into the Hall of Fame. Like Rigondeaux is almost forgotten, and he just fought not too long ago.
Yeah,
and he's forgotten about.
Yeah,
it's a shame with Rigondeaux. His best win ruined him.
Yeah,
I mean, beating Donaire ruined him because nobody wanted to fight him.
Yeah.
His stylistically really boring.
Yeah, Frampton didn't want to fight him. Who was the other guy at that weight? It was somebody else. It was Carl Frampton and somebody else. They didn't want to fight him.
I mean,
I just
you can't make no money against a guy like Rigondeaux.
No, I understand.
You know what I mean? Like it's not like Rigondeaux has a fan base. Yeah.
Like for me, when I look at a Hall of Famer, I gotta see a bunch of guys that you've been in the ring with, and some of them you won. You might have lost some of them, but some of them you won as well. But it's hard for me to say this guy's a Hall of Famer with only 21 fights. I'm like, dang, he only got 21 fights. You got guys that's much younger than you, like Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason is coming up on 21 fights. He only 21 years old. That man got, 15, 16 fights?
Now remember, though, he became world champion at, like, how many fights?
Yeah, and like Abdullah Mason about to become world champion at 21.
Now, granted, Loma could have padded his record 10, 15 bums, but instead they didn't waste time, which is something to... the thing is, you look at Lomachenko.
Yeah, and that's what I said. I think that he will get in. I just find it hard to vote for somebody with only 21 fights. That's my only thing.
I mean, boxing, I'm not as strict as like the other sports because I mean, a lot of fighters, retire, fucked up physically and in the pockets. So if they become Hall of Famers, it's like, I'm not going to knock it. Like I look at a guy like Iran Barkley. Iran Barkley's fucked up.
Yeah.
But he should be in the Hall of Fame.
And I don't even think he's on the ballot. I don't think he's on the ballot, Sock.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And there's a lot of other fighters.
Yeah.
Marlon Starling.
Yeah,
they've lowered the bar.
I'm still an advocate for Jermaine Taylor and Corey Spinks. I'm like, man, these dudes were undisputed title holders, and Jermaine Taylor, he beat Bernard Hopkins twice. I'm like, this man is not a Hall of Famer. He took the belt from Bernard Hopkins and then defended it against Bernard Hopkins.
I think Jermaine did enough. I agree.
Yeah, he should be a Hall of Famer. Even some of the losses that he had, I mean, there's like 2 losses that he was winning the whole fight. He was winning most of the fight. He would have won, but he got knocked in the last round. Carl Froch and Abraham.
Underrated fight.
Yeah, he was winning both those fights. I mean, I say pretty handily. I don't think he won every round, but they both stopped him in the last round. And think about this. That first Kelly Pavlik fight, he had Kelly Pavlik almost done. Think about that. Like, if he, we would never heard of Kelly Pavlik if he didn't get up. So Jermaine Taylor's been in some really great fights of what ifs. Like those are 3 fights right there that he could have or should have won. You know,
Yeah.
so
And that's why I'm like, this man ain't in the Hall of Fame yet, and he's one of
Yeah,
few
that's a good
people that can
example.
actually say they beat. He's one of few people that can actually say they beat Bernard Hopkins and beat him twice. Let
twice.
alone beat him once. He beat him twice.
I feel like he's got another Hall of
Like
Fame.
Iran Barkley. Like Iran Barkley beat Tommy Hearns twice.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So, and
Who else he has on his resume? I feel like he beat somebody else, Jermaine Taylor.
I mean, he beat Corey Spinks in one of the worst fights in the history of HBO.
Which I thought Corey Spinks might have won that fight. That was a close fight.
It was
Yeah,
boring.
Corey Spinks should have won that fight.
Yeah, it was, but it was shit.
The Winky Wright fight, that was a draw.
Mike Biz, what's up?
He beat Joppy. He beat Marquez.
Yeah.
You know, Raul Marquez is a solid fighter. I'm trying to think. He beat Jeff Lacey. You know, he got stopped by Foch and Abraham back to back in fights.
I don't remember. Jermaine Taylor fought Jeff Lacey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right after he lost the rematch to Pavlik.
Wow, I didn't remember.
And matter of fact, when he beat Jeff Lacey hasn't been the same since.
But Jeff Lacey got
like that was the
right.
downslide of Jeff Lacey. That was the downslide.
Well, the Kawasaki ass whooping was. I mean, that was pretty much.
Yeah, but I see what he's saying, because after Jermaine Taylor, I think he lost to Roy Jones, and then he kept losing after that.
Yeah, I remember
but I mean,
that was crazy.
But yeah, I mean, it's just like that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of guys who should get into the Hall of Fame over a guy like Loma. And like I said, I'm not taking anything away from Loma and what he did in his career, but he only had 21 fights. I think there's guys that fought a lot of more tougher competition than Loma did, and they deserve to be in the Hall of Fame, and they're not in it.
Yeah.
And like I said, I think he will get in. I just think there's a lot of guys that should get in before him. And I think the bad thing about it is Loma's going to be a first ballot, because the way they hype Loma up for so long, they're going to make him a first ballot.
And you know what? We also talk we talk about a lot on this show, you know, about ticket sales and about pay-per-views and stuff. Loma's only been on pay-per-view, I think, twice.
He's been on a pay-per-view once.
The Kambosos fight wasn't pay-per-view?
No.
Oh, I thought that was pay-per-view. I know the Haney fight was pay-per-view.
That was the only fight he was on pay-per-view was Haney. He's been on an undercard of Floyd Mayweather pay-per-view fight, but he only headlined one, and that was Haney. He's never headlined a pay-per-view.
Kambosos, I thought the Kambosos was. You sure? Kambosos?
I'm positive. I watched that on ESPN Plus. I'm positive.
Okay.
That was not a pay-per-view fight.
The thing is about Lomachenko, though, is like, okay, you watch him, because you project how would he do against such and such, right? That's why he was always in the pound for pound discussion. Lomachenko was not a great puncher, you know, but he would beat the will out of people. You know what I mean? Like Nicholas Walters, for example, he made him quit. You know, he made Rigondeaux quit. He went to 2 Olympics. You know, so the fact that he turned pro late is also contributes to the fact that he only had the 21 fights. You know, so I don't think it's a debate. I think Lomachenko gets in first ballot. Maybe they make him sit out, but it depends who's lined up, right? I mean, this Hall of Fame class, for example, you know, Vinny Pazienza, they lowered the bar, right? You know.
Yeah.
But
they did, because Vinny, you know, he had some exciting fights, but I think he's borderline Hall of Fame. I don't.
Greg Haugen was a better fighter than Vinny Pazienza.
Greg Haugen got a better resume, I think, too.
Greg Haugen fought everybody.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. That was a tough cracker, man. Let me tell you something. Look at Greg Haugen's resume.
That's what I'm saying. Way better than Vinny.
He beat Jimmy Paul. He fought Pernell Whitaker, Chavez. He fought everybody.
Camacho.
Yeah. He fought everybody in his era.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of guys that should get into the Hall of Fame that's not going to get in before Loma.
Yeah, I mean, he'll get in, but I just don't consider him an all-time great. I don't know. It's debatable, but
I mean, all-time great at what? You can't say he's an all-time great at 135.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's. I don't see him as an all-time great.
Yeah, and some people is going to say he is, but I mean, the question is, at what weight class is he an all-time great at?
No,
you can't say you're an all-time great at 135 because you got guys like Roberto Duran, Floyd Mayweather. So he's not better than those guys.
Can we go over 130? Can we go over the resume of Vinny? Let's just see. Like, he's got 50 wins, 10 losses. Like, what guys did he beat of the 50 wins that are worth? You know, I'm just gonna scroll by it real quick because I can't think of like a Hall of Fame. Like, he got annihilated by Roy Jones. There was a round that he didn't even land a punch.
He's a Hall of Fame personality. You know, he was one of the bigger names of the 80s. You know,
he beat an old Duran twice.
And the first fight was robbery.
Yeah.
They fucked Duran in that first fight. And Duran dropped him. I remember that fight like yesterday. That was crazy. You know,
I'm just trying to see, like, he lost to Camacho. Who did Vinny beat? He lost to Roger Mayweather. He lost to Haugen. He beat Haugen. Okay, so they fought twice. He beat Haugen, and then Haugen beat him in a rematch. I don't know if they fought a third time.
He was in one. I think he was in the last 15-round fight.
Yeah, he hasn't. I mean, his best win.
Him and Haugen was the last 15-round fight fought in the United States, I believe.
Yeah, and then that fight he lost. He lost unanimous decision. I mean, Haugen. It was for the IBF World Lightweight title.
I mean, he was a big personality. You know,
I was about to say Vinny was never somebody I looked at and said he was a good boxer. He was T.O. without the skills. He was T.O. without the skills.
He beat Greg Haugen again, so he got 2 wins over Haugen, so they fought 3 times.
They were hated rivals, like to this, like as old as 88 each other.
But that goes. But Sock, it's like you said, and D Free. Vinny Paz. He really didn't beat anybody to be worthy as a Hall of Famer.
No, I mean
his best win is probably Haugen, and he lost a rematch. He beat him in the third fight. It was a 10-rounder, but he lost the rematch in a 15-round fight for the title. Mm-hmm. You know, he lost to Roger Mayweather. He lost to everybody he fought that was good. He lost except Roberto Duran. Roberto Duran, questionable first fight, and Roberto Duran was old. You know,
he was old.
What's going on, Thomas Hill?
Vinny was a good ticket seller in Providence. You know, and you know, he broke his neck in a car accident. Came back. He got the fight with Roy Jones, and that was it.
That's it. But he shouldn't be a Hall of Famer. I still say that Gotti shouldn't be a Hall of Fame, but
that's different because Arturo Gotti was in legendary fights. You know what I mean? I mean, he was in
multiple legendary fights.
Yeah, you know. So I think that's a little different. I think, you know, Arturo Gotti probably could have been better if he took better care of himself outside the ring.
That's true. Yeah,
you know, Arturo was a wild boy.
Those two fights with Mickey Ward, you could pick either one of those fights and be like, man, those was legendary fights. Mm-hmm. They was battling in both those fights. The
fight with that he lost, Ivan Robinson was tremendous.
But listen, but those fights were not against other Hall of Fame guys. Because Ivan Robinson, I don't believe he's in the Hall of Fame.
No.
Ward is not in the Hall of Fame. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, to be a Hall of Fame, you got to have. There's got to be some type of moment. You know, I understand why Gotti got in. Gotti got in because, you know, I think the deaf played into it. But, you know, he sold tickets.
Yeah.
He was a draw in Atlantic City. I think that's why he got in. But when you look at somebody like Gotti and even Lomachenko, like, where are the moments? Where are the big fights that you won?
But like
the Hall of Famers you beat.
Ward. But the Mickey Ward fight, the Gabriel Ruelas fight, the Wilson Rodriguez fight, the fact that, he was an HBO darling. If he was not, okay, put it this way, if Arturo Gatti didn't fight on HBO, he would not be a Hall of Fame. If he fought on ESPN, he'd be Mickey Rourke.
I don't know. I understand what you're saying.
He was the face of boxing after dark.
Yeah, he was. He was.
I mean, go back. The Wilson Rodriguez fight was amazing. I mean, he had both eyes shut. He beat a decent fighter.
But
Patterson.
I agree. I agree with you, Thomas. I think his untimely death did play a part in that, because I don't think they was looking to put him in the Hall of Fame at the time that they put him in. I think, but because the way he passed, they was like, we got to celebrate him, because this was a warrior in the ring. He was one of the biggest names out of Atlantic City. Yeah, one of the biggest names out of Atlantic City.
And Atlantic City has not been the same since.
But you look at a guy that you just mentioned. We're gonna have to make a whole separate show about the Hall of Fame. But like, who's in that shouldn't be in, and who's not in that should be in. But like, you brought up Greg Haugen, and looking at his resume, it's better than some of these guys. I think it's better than Vinny Pazienza.
A lot better.
I mean, he lost to Purnell. Where is it? I know.
Ironically, in Norfolk on ABC Worldwide in Sports.
Let me see who else. He got the win over Camacho. He was the first man to beat Hector Camacho.
He suckered Hector into hitting him
in the last round. Yeah, that was crazy. Hector, then he loses. He lost in a controversial fight in a rematch. The rematch was controversial. Some people thought he beat Hector again.
He beat Mancini.
He beat Mancini. Who else? Let's see. He lost to Chavez. Chavez destroyed him. That was when he made the comment about the taxi drivers, right?
Yes, the Tijuana cab
drivers. Yeah. I'm trying to see who else. The Vinny Pazienza fights.
Jimmy Paul. He beat Freddie Roach.
He stopped Freddie Roach.
Yeah, I'm doing it straight off the dome. I remember Greg Haugen throughout my childhood. Yeah. Maybe he gets in. I don't know if there's some sort of veterans committee like in baseball, but maybe he gets in. Maybe he gets his flowers. It's fucked up. He died.
He won the IBF title. No, he defended the title against the undefeated Gert Bo Jacobson. I think he was from like Finland or something like that. I don't know. He was undefeated. I'm trying to see Vinny Pazienza, Miguel Santana. It's like a Jimmy Paul. You're right. Yeah, I forgot Jimmy Paul.
Nigga, of course I'm right. I don't get on this mic just to talk shit, nigga. I know my shit, nigga. What are you talking about? Come on, bro. I ain't got no phone in my hand. I got this in my hand.
Yo, shout out to my man, Mr. Shelton. He says, Hogan, we coming for you. Sock, you gonna finish it? Hogan, we coming for you.
We're the liquor.
Yeah, buddy.
That was great. That's what he said. That was when he said it. He said, "Oh, y'all can get it." It was in this one. He was like, he's like Pernell Whitaker, Aaron Pryor.
Jimmy Paul.
He said, "Oh yeah." He said,
Elvis Duran in the back.
Hey, Penny.
Oh man!
Yeah, salute to Greg Haugen.
We gotta do a show. We gotta do a show like that
too.
What's up?
Salute to Greg Haugen, big Seattle Seahawk fan too.
Yeah, big Seattle Seahawk fan.
Yeah, I mean,
peace.
Yeah, I mean,
but we got to do a show about the Hall of Fame, definitely. Like, who should be in?
I'm salute to Vinny. He got in. I would love to get him on. I believe there's a documentary coming out. I don't know if it's going to be like on. They're looking to see who's going to buy it, Amazon or some shit. But
I'm shocked that I'm really shocked. I can't believe I would have forgot about this, but D Free shout out to you, man, Jermaine Taylor. Wow, he definitely should be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
I'm really shocked that he's not. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He should have been in the Hall of Fame.
He should have been in it.
Yeah.
Like I said, that man, he's like I said, he's one of few. I think he might be the only person to beat Bernard Hopkins twice. He might be the only person.
Yeah. I think Chad Dawson beat him twice, I think.
No, I don't think Chad Dawson beat him twice. I think Chad Dawson beat him once. I don't think he beat him twice.
I thought they had a rematch. I thought
Chad.
I thought Chad Dawson. You sure? I'm gonna look it up right now. I thought Chad Dawson.
I thought the second fight with Bernard was questionable, but he definitely got it. He's got the 2 wins on paper.
So Chad Dawson, let me see. I just want Chad Dawson. One was ruled a no contest.
Yeah, that's what I said. He beat him once.
Because I was like, I know they fought twice. Yeah, it was a no contest the first fight. Because he got slammed or something like that. Yeah. Didn't he slam him to the ground or something like that? Chad Dawson.
Yeah.
Dislocated
his shoulder or something like that.
I can't wait till the 49ers go 6-11. I can't wait.
Taylor's not in the Hall of Fame.
He's not yet. We're saying that he should be in the Hall of Fame. I'm shocked that he's not. He should be. He got a Hall of Fame. He has a Hall of Fame career.
I say he the only person to beat Bernard Hopkins twice. Took the belt.
That's right. Prize fighter. Yeah.
Took the undisputed title from Bernard Hopkins and then turned around and defended it against Bernard Hopkins.
Yeah.
The Boxing Hall of Fame has done some funny stuff. Like they've had some women in the Hall of Fame that no one knows who the fuck they are. I'm gonna keep it 1,000. Like no one knows who the fuck these girls are. Okay, and that's just to be politically correct. There's a broad in there that's got fake fights.
Shit! She got 10 fights, and I can't even say nothing about Loma. God damn.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
I can't even say that about Loma. She got 10.
Yeah,
I was sitting there talking about Loma with 21. She got 10. Damn.
Shelton, I think we play our first game of the year, so get ready to be humbled week 1, jerk.
Oh, speaking of football, Thomas, I'm gonna send you the link Tuesday so you can link your channel. Me and Dub is doing, if you want to come up, you can, but me and Dub is doing, we're breaking down the AFC North and the NFC North, going through each team's schedule, how many wins and losses they're going to have by the end of the year. We did the NFC last week. For the most part, most people think it's going to be between Washington and the Eagles. Well, actually, most people think that Washington is going to win the division, and the Eagles are going to be a close second.
So when let me ask this question: when most people, does that mean D-free?
No, I'm talking about. It was me, Dub Right Side, Marky Dan. It was me, Dub Right Side, Marky Dan, BBO, and Hot Rod.
So Marky Dan, who did Marky Dan pick?
Marky Dan had Washington going 11-6. He Dub Right Side had Washington going 11-6. I had Washington going 15-2, and BVO had Washington going, I think, 10-7. But then when we got to the Eagles, the Eagles, most people had the Eagles going like 10-7. I think Hot Rod had the Eagles going 9-8 or 8-9. Marky Dan had the Eagles going 13-3. Dallas, most people had Dallas coming up in third. Like they was like 5-12 and 7-8. I mean, I'm sorry, 7-10. The Giants was dead last. Nobody picked the Giants to win more than 5 games.
Wow. Real quick, shout out to Gold member. He said just here, subscribe. Salute to you, man. Thanks for joining. Thanks for subscribing. Appreciate you. We're gonna put more content. Subscribe to my brother D Free up in here as well. And we be doing football content, boxing content as well. I don't know about the person that said Washington is gonna go 15-2. I don't think that guy should have a channel. I don't know who was that. Oh, that was you?
Yeah, that was me. And
15-2. You're wild.
The reason I said 15-2 because I was looking at the schedule and I'm like, the schedule not really that hard.
They're gonna rest guys the last week, right? It's gonna be an easy 15-1.
It's not really that hard. I'm looking at the schedule. I'm like,
in November.
Okay. The only teams that I say, I mean, I went back and I said, okay, I was being a little biased or whatever. The only teams I can
You think?
we went 12-5 last year. We got a better team now. We got a better team than we had last year. We went 12-5.
Did you hear what Sox said?
More games.
You heard what Sox said? Yeah, you're going to be 15-1, and you're going to rest your starters. That's why you're 15-2.
No, yeah, exactly. We're going to rest the starters the last game, exactly. But if you look at it, like I said, last year we went 12-5. I just added 3 more games because we have a better team now. That was a team that people was playing together for the first time.
Unbelievable.
Does Larry Johnson have to get nervous?
I think KC, we might lose to KC, we might lose to Philly, and we might split with Dallas. So that'll put us at 14-3.
Wow. My man Shelton, okay, we're gonna see. I don't know what to expect from Seattle. I gotta see what's going on at the camp, and
But I know Philly gonna be feeling it because Saquon Barkley is on the cover of Madden, so that means he's not gonna play well this year.
I hope Philly goes 6-11 or whatever, because you know why, right? So
they're not gonna play well because Saquon. I mean, I don't know who's the backup behind Saquon, because the other running back is gone. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the other running back they had, I think he's gone, and they lost.
I don't want to hope or wish for injuries, because then I feel like I'm a scumbag.
I'm not hoping or wishing for injuries. I'm just going according to what the curse is. There has never been a person that survived the curse.
That's
they
true.
Get put on the cover of Madden, they have a bad year the following year. Now,
the only injuries I ever root for is that I hope Eagle fans, turn their ankle when they jump up and down after a win. That's the only injuries I root for. So.
And they might not get injured, but they have a bad year the following year when they get put on the cover of Madden. That curse. Everybody that's been on the cover of Madden had a bad year. Everybody.
Ray Lewis too got hurt. Yeah, everybody's been. Yeah,
Ray Lewis killed somebody after that.
Was it? No,
Ray Lewis got injured that year that he was on the cover of Madden. He got injured. He sat out the last 7 games. He got injured. Everybody. There's not a single person that survived that cover of Madden.
Well, guys, I think
before the NFL, August 31st, Notre Dame, Miami.
Yeah, we're gonna smash Miami. Miami might not even have Tua there. We're gonna smash Miami in Spain.
It's in Miami, I think.
In Miami.
No, it's in Spain.
No, it's in
the Orange Bowl.
No, it's in Miami because my friend Julius, who's a Notre Dame fan, he's been trying to plan.
You talking about Notre Dame? I thought you were talking about Washington and Miami. You talking about Notre Dame?
This guy, we're talking about Notre Dame.
We were talking about NFL. I didn't.
Oh, that's why you said Tua. You're right. You did say Tua.
I said before the NFL.
Yeah, Notre Dame and the Hurricanes.
Before the NFL.
That might be worse than Washington beating the Dolphins. That might be worse.
In Miami, so it's Miami. It's not easy to win in Miami.
Who's the quarterback Miami got now, because Ward is not there no more? So
I don't know, because everything always changes because of the portal.
Didn't the quarterback from Georgia go there?
Didn't they get somebody in the portal?
I think
that's it. Yeah.
Yeah. The quarterback from Georgia.
The Georgia quarterback. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't mention it. I mean, we just kind of shitted on Vinny Pazienza, but Michael Nunn gets in, so that was pretty cool.
That's a long time coming for him.
And Manny Pacquiao, who, by the way,
how was he going to the Hall of Fame? He about to fight.
It's crazy.
I guess they announced it. Remember, they announced it about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They need to take him off and put Jermaine Taylor on there because he about to fight.
So
Yeah.
Or
But
at
that
least put
definitely.
Iran Barkley. At least put Iran Barkley on there. Take him off and
Yeah.
put somebody else on there because he about to fight.
And
But definitely, we got to do a show based on the Hall of Fame.
Kenny Bayless. Kenny Bayless is
Wow.
I think
Unbelievable.
the induction speech.
I
heard Floyd was going to do the induction speech, but he had trouble with the cue cards and shit. You stuttering prick, you.
Look at the Godfather. You stutter. Who was that? It was
Goodfellas.
Yeah, who was it? It was what does he call him? Oh man, he shot him. Oh my God.
He shot Michael Imperioli in the foot.
Yeah, but what was his name in the movie?
Tommy?
No, he had a nickname.
Joe Pesci.
It was Joe Pesci that said it, but what was it? Oh my God, what was his name? They had a name for him.
Yeah.
Damn it, it'll come to me. My man 88 says, I remember when they put the white boy Peyton Hillis on the Madden cover, and he wasn't the same the following. That's right. He had that career year. BBO's Browns, sorry as hell.
Yeah, but I think Sador's gonna be all right though. I think he's gonna be all right. He's gonna probably be the bright light of that team, but everybody else is gonna pretty much suck.
They signed both quarterbacks, right? They signed a kid from Oregon also, right?
Yeah,
they signed him 4 years, and I think they gave Shador 4 years.
And they got Flacco. And they got
Flacco's not. I think Flacco's gone.
And they got
only reason why Flacco was on there is because Deshaun Watson is not healthy. He tore his other ACL, so he had surgery on one ACL and then tore the other one, or he tore the same one right after he had the surgery. So he's not going to play. So that's probably why they still have Flacco on the roster, because they need a veteran in that locker room as far as quarterback, just in case both of these quarterbacks start stinking up the place. They need at least a veteran that can at least get them a win here and there.
Sock. Spider.
Huh?
Spider. You stuttering prick. Spider. That was the name. Spider. He said, you stuttering prick, you. Oh, that movie was great. But yo,
what game is Notre Dame playing in New York? What game is Notre Dame playing in New York?
I don't know if they have a game in New York this year. I don't know. I know they got Miami. In Miami, that was one of the big games. I don't think they play in New York or New Jersey, because last year they had one game in New York and one game in Jersey last year. They had Army and Navy, I think that's what it was. I don't think so. Let me see. I'm going to look it up now. Notre Dame football schedule. Yeah, I'm looking it up now because they always have the schedules out. I don't think they play anything close. I think
the closest game could be Navy, November 8th.
No, but that's going to be I think they play in South Bend.
Yeah, so South Bend.
Yeah, they play Arkansas and Arkansas. The road games is Miami.
They play Boise State. That should be
Boston College might be the closest. Boston College and
that
Pitt.
Could get Fenway Park. Oh no, is that BC? Is that BC?
Yeah. And Pittsburgh. They play Pitt and at Stanford. Those are the road games. So unless the Pittsburgh game, which I doubt, that's going to be at Pitt.
Notre Dame, Boise State. I've never seen Notre Dame play Boise State. That should be
either. That's be interesting. And they haven't played Arkansas. I don't know when's the last time they played Arkansas.
Wow,
about 4 years ago.
Was it against Arkansas?
I said about 4 years. It might have been longer than that.
Yeah, I don't think they played Arkansas in a minute. It might have been like in the 80s or something like that.
They play A&M again.
That's good. That's always a good rivalry.
I know we need to get the national title this year. We came too close not to get it.
Yeah, I hope.
But all right, Thomas, I will holler at you on the flip side.
Let me see. I'm trying to see when's the last time they played Arkansas. No previous matchup, so they never played. I could have sworn they played like in the 80s.
I thought they played. I thought they played a few years back.
Yeah,
That might have been another team.
Yeah, it says Arkansas is one of 4 Southeastern Conference programs that have never faced the Irish. So Auburn's never played them, Kentucky and Mississippi State. Interesting. I could have sworn they played, but I guess not. So this is the first time they're playing against each other.
We about to smash them.
Guys, man, it's been great. It's been good discussion on Keyshawn. You know, at the end of the day, you know, I wish Keyshawn and his brothers well, and I hope they do well. Hopefully they learn from this to become better men, better professionals, and, you know, we'll see what happens. I do believe in the talent of Keon and Keyshawn. Kelvin's a solid fighter, but like I said, I saw him last year. I thought he lost to Kevin Johnson, but I do believe in the talent of Keon and Keyshawn. So, you know, we'll see what happens. So I wanted to get out there, especially in my perspective as a fan and as a supporter, you know, not as a hater. Because, you know, people say, oh, you're a hater. They're quick to call somebody a hater. But it's proof that I've been a supporter of Keyshawn. So
it's a problem when you keep it real. They say they want you to keep it real, but then when you keep it real, they say you hating.
Yeah, exactly. So shout out to you guys. Shout out to Sock, made it to the program finally. We'll try to be back live maybe during the week. Let me know the date again, D Free. I'll try to definitely be on. You know, we're on Wednesday. We're on Thursdays with Rich Mancuso. Might be Wednesday this week because Thursday I may have to do something. And then the fights I'll be at the fight this Saturday at the Hitchens and Cambosis fight. So we'll try to be live Friday night to talk about the fights.
All right, that's about.
All right, guys, it's been great. What do you think? What do you think, Hector?
Yeah, buddy. Hey, buddy.
That's funny. Salute, guys. Appreciate everybody that came through. They go look at BVO late. Good job, BVO. Thanks for coming through. Are the Browns gonna stink again this year? Will the Browns win less than 5 games this year?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, Sock, are the Raiders gonna be over 500?
Yes. We have an adult in the room.
Okay, so that
I think the Raiders over 500. They got KC, they got Denver, they got the Chargers. They got to play against Washington. They got to play against Philly. They might. It's gonna be tough, but they might be able to make it over 500.
Will the Raiders miss the playoffs?
Yeah, buddy. Nah, not yet. Not yet.
All right, guys, I'm out, man. We'll talk to you guys later. I appreciate everybody, man. Be safe, everybody. Have a good night.
All right.